Very big welcome to you, my dear Libra. The Earth has continued its path, and now we see behind the Sun and behind the Moon both times Libra. And there is a ring of fire for you because the Moon or the new Moon is gonna cover your Sun. So there is a moment to really look deep, 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 deep within your own psyche, within your own sun and moon, within your own glorious external energy that is showing to the world what you're made of, and the justice comes out of you, right? This equilibrium, this balance that we're holding. And so today you are gonna be challenged because the moon is saying, well, guess what? You're gonna look again one more time deeper into what do you want to represent out there in the world. And of course you are the equilibrium, and so for me, when you are holding yourself in this equilibrium, right, because there is no other way than experiencing yourself something that is just or unjust, right? And it's just the negative and the positive of the yin and the yang. And here you're holding yourself in your center, in front of your heart, in the Namaste or the Anjali Mudra, and there you are balancing in the sky, in the equinox, in the equal day, equal night, equilibrium, and the sword is pointing at your third eye, and it's like, oh my God, right? And the ring of fire is somehow there. So that's for you now, right? And this is intense, but it's like, there we go, looking at Venus that is ruling you, love and beauty. And of course, the 7th house of love and relationships, right? That's all you. So here you are showing us how it's done. And what I find very interesting, that you have your feet here on this dog or actually wolf, right? And the wolf is facing to the left. And today the reading is to the left. It's not to the right, it's to the left. To the left we go to the new moon, to the right we go to the full moon. To the left is soul. To the right is that human path as far out as your opposite sign, which is Aries. So here we go, right? This is what's happening today. And you are the Queen of Swords, and you are cutting off the ego, and you are quite brutal, but that's how it is. If your birthday is between September 12th and October 12th, then this is your court card. And if not, then please look in the description below, because I have listed all the court cards, all the cards that I'm using on their positions. And you will see now that this reading is pretty much like very complex, and I'm using a lot the numbers if it's too much for you, right? Take it easy, just go with the pictures, go with the feeling, go with the flow. Back to the last reading where you had Virgo Sun giving your moon the light. The message was, true love passes the deepest tests of letting go into the unknown. And yes, you had here the Two of Cups, you had the lake, and already there I was reading to the left. And so true love, right, is tested all the time. And particularly in times like this, where we are hugely tested by a certain brutality. But where's brutality coming from? Brutality starts where there is no love, where no love has been given to a person deep, deep, deep down in their heart. And so they don't feel anything when they do these atrocities, right? But we also have to remember where it's coming from. Where was the beginning? And the beginning is going back not thousands of years ago, not hundreds of years ago, or not 50 years ago. It's going back to the existence of duality. That when there is the sun, there is also the dark. And when there is a man, there is also a woman. And we recognize through the dualities, through polarities, that they coexist and not one is better than the other. But we have to find here in this lifetime the moment to come into our own deep understanding what that means to be united. Now in the position of the 20, the last judgment or the call or the calling, right? I will pick one more card out of the Libra Healing Oracle. And this is connected with the rune alphabet. And so we're going to see what is talking here to you for this reading through justice, through the sun that is giving you the light, but is covered by the moon, which is also in your sign. We get tire, smelt, the number 17. And of course the 17 is the star, and the sun is a dwarf star in our solar system. And so here you get the 17, here you get the number 1, which is the magician, and the 7, which is the chariot or the 7th chakra. And you see for yourself, right? You can stop the video and enlarge it and read it yourself, but I'm going to read it to you. And I love that the arrow is pointing up, and that's the rune letter. Proto-God, so old that time has smelted all emotions within. War and fury have been hammered, reformed, made over, recreated, refashioned through the compassion to understand all shadows, all destinies as part of the whole. Wow. Under the tutelage of Tyre, all blows, all hammers, clangs, and all strikes glow from the flow of love's breath he offers to all life. Wisdom is beauty and compassion ageless. Wow. Well, you are beauty, right? You're all about beauty. And so recognize now here this beautiful statement, and there is an arrow pointing up to a higher consciousness, to a place where you are now seeing that the arrow is pointing up to the position where I picked this deck to, which is the call, right? The number 20. 20 and 17 is then 73. Then the 3 is the Empress in there, in the success that can rise and that can overcome anything. And the 3 and the 7 creates the 10. The 10 is that new cycle, that new moment that you are recognizing. Wow, I have come a long way, and now I'm seeing from a whole nother perspective what all of this is about. And it's really interesting because my ascendant is Justice, is Libra, right? But also connected with Virgo. And so it's really interesting because my analytical mind wants to say, what an atrocity. And at the same time, my higher mind goes, well, have a look from all the way up there and see what this is all about. And it's about the incapability to be love. Truly. It's just, in the end, it's the most simplest thing, right? And everybody's like, well, it's a little too simplistic. And I'm like, yeah, but that's what it's coming down to. There's no love in these people. They never have felt any love. They're just out for revenge, and that's their kind of love. And so we're going to look, of course, into this situation. So we are going to start this reading. I have to remind myself that I'm going to the left, because for 2 weeks I go to the right, and then for 2 weeks I go to the left. And so always at the beginning I'm like, I want to go to the right, and I pick the wrong position. Anyway, on the position of the Fool comes the Page of Wands, and that's Aries, and Leo and Sagittarius. Those are the fighters, those are the rebels, those are maybe even the terrorists, right? The people that defend something deep within, even though if it's something that's maybe not holy and not for the children and not for the old, but something inside of them says to them, well, I want to defend. They have red stockings on and they look to the right. They are not connected to the soul, because you can see how the child is facing the soul and the dog is facing the human path, right? But today your path goes one more time to the left, and so you're turning your back to it. It's almost like you're saying, well, I do not want, right? And either it's someone that is in your family that is young and it's actually turning their back on you, or it's you who's turning the back on something. On the position of the magician comes then here the thunder. And so behind him is the thunder. There is something happening. And it's the number 56. And it's very interesting. In the German reading, I had a huge thunder in it. And it's almost letting me know, well, have a look at that moment one more time where that thunder happened. And so recognize the thunder is something that is shaking the earth and so the world, and calculated together the 5, the Hierophant, and the 6, the Gemini, creates an 11, right? Which is then, of course, you, justice, because you're the number 11. And so the 11 is a portal with the 1, so you have 3 times the 1. And there are 3 times the pages standing here and looking into the world and wanting to conquer, wanting to fight, wanting to act. Then I picked, of course, here from the Mother Peace Tarot, this card. And this card, when you look at it, is the Princess of Swords. And she was tilted to the right. And of course, because they're round, you have above, below, right and left. So it was like this. And to the right is, she knows what she's doing. Well, guess who this is? You. The Queen of Swords. The woman that cuts off heads. Well, why is a woman here that cuts off heads? Quite brutal. And so we are going to put it straight. She is the one up there looking, the owl. I mean, it's like really beautiful. She is the one that is sending out an owl. She is the one that is saying, well, this thunder is actually letting me know that something is really up in this world and we need to look at this. And I need to send this owl forward for this young generation to help them to understand what they're actually truly fighting for. So the 11 and the 1 of the magician is 3 times the 1, and you are the 7. The 7th zodiac sign, right? So it stands by itself, but the 7 connects here with Tyre, the 17, which of course when we calculated 17 together is then the 8. And the 8 is that infinite battle, that infinite loop in our head, like here the magician, that infinite, well, infinitely I have made choices and will make choices with the 4 elements, and I am the 5th element. And so as you can see, you coming up and you are making an important choice, because here are 3 times the ones. That's power in understanding what the 1 means. Then on the position of the High Priestess comes the Moon. And the Moon is in your sign, and the Moon is actually a new moon. It is dark and is going in front of the Sun. And the high priestess is ruled by the moon. And so two important energies are coming together. The moon, that is giving us the understanding that things are shifting and changing, and the high priestess, the intuition. And the intuition is guided through the moon, through the water that the moon is moving. And the 18 and the 2 is a 20. And the 20 was then again the judgment. And on the judgment came the 17, came the star, came the hope, came the future, and then becomes an 8. And so recognize that something is powerfully talking to you today on this ring of fire moment, right? This solar eclipse, right, where the moon is going in front of the sun and is saying, well, have a deeper look. So, right, and you can see the thunder now makes sense with this moment where the moon is. And then on the position of the Empress comes the Empress. And so a 3-3 portal is here. And of course there are 3 zodiac signs here. And so 3 times 3, we see, okay, the power to be powerful is so strong that people came up with an idea to actually let the union of always these opposite energies, right? Man, woman, wild, tamed, and of course sun and moon, to be in a deck like the tarot deck, so that we can learn that when we get powerful, we sometimes might abuse the power. And we see that. We see that in the world, that people are not able to control themselves. And so here comes the Empress on the position of the Empress. So be an Empress that gives birth on the feminine level to all things here in this world, and own this moment. Own it and be it, and see that you can be the one that puts the foot on the moon and says, well, I am controlling your emotions. I am the eagle. I see all 12 zodiac signs. I am the angel. I am the prophet. I am the one that says no more. It's enough, right? It's like, I mean, this is what happens to all the people all over the world right now. Enough. Enough. I mean, it's enough fighting, enough being terrible with each other, and it's time for a new dawn. So now in the position of the moon comes the Hermit, Virgo, the number 9. And Virgo is looking to the left. Virgo is like, I got you, I understand you, and now my mission is to go to the new moon and to recognize what I gotta do. And I gotta do the impossible, which is uniting the masculine and the feminine deep within me. And that's then the union that we all talk about. So if there is no love in the union, because that's what union means, is love, is uniting the two opposite energies. If that is not happening, there cannot be a completion. There cannot be a moment of like, well, I'm up on the mountain and I have realized it. Only a few are realizing this state of consciousness. On the position of the Queen of Swords. Wow, I can see this is a message for me as well. Comes the Ace of Cups. And the Ace of Cups is letting you know there are 2 streams coming out of love. And these 2 streams create like an M, like mother. Or then the Hebrew word mem. And mem is always the ocean where we're coming from. The water, the feminine aspect, and the love that we have here. And you see that one hand is holding, and it's the left hand, the feminine hand that is holding the water up. And it's dividing into 2. And it's saying, well, out of 1, we give birth to 2, and from 2, we go back to 1. And so you, the 7th zodiac sign, or the 7th house, right, it is always love and beauty and relationships. Here, you are called to be then the 8, right? The ace and the 7 is an 8. And so the 8 portal comes through Tyre, through then the sentence, war and fury have been hammered, reformed, made over, recreated, refashioned through the compassion to understand all shadows. Wow, this is an incredible sentence. I mean, this is like all destinies as part of the whole. Wow. So 8-8. You are having now an 8-8. You becoming an 8. And that's the next zodiac sign, right? Scorpio. Death. Transformation. We're going back to the unity and come back here into duality. Then on the position of the sun, which is covered by the moon, comes the Queen of Wands, and that's Aries. Your opposite sign is talking to you, and Aries is in here as a young child. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And so Aries is talking to you, and she is a fighter as well, right? And so here the sun, which is covered by the moon, is saying, well, now you cover Virgo over the Aries fighting energy, which is ruled by Mars. You are ruled by Venus. These are these two opposite energies, right? Women are from Venus, men are from Mars. But they come out of one ocean. So Virgo is the 9th major arcana plus the 1, the number 1 of the zodiac signs creates a 10, a completion, an arriving, a 1 and a 1, an arriving into understanding how complex actually true love is. Then on the position of the moon, that evolving, shifting and changing planet that's circling our Earth, comes the last card of the Dream Oracle, the Woodwives, and the adaptability, the number 64, a 10, plus the 18 turns into a 9. The 10 and the 9 is a 19, and again a 10 is left. So we do have a lot of ones, and we have 1, 2, 3 with the Magician, and then we have the Ace, the 4, and then we have here a 10 with the Hermit. And then we have here the first zodiac sign, and of course now again a 10 here on the moon. And it's definitely letting you know that the one and only is beautiful. It's, yes, I want to become that, but it's the hardest thing to get to in a land of duality, of opposition, of fighting, of I am right and you are wrong. It's the most difficult thing to do. And so the adaptability to becoming slowly and carefully someone that understands a higher mission, then that's really what's speaking here to you. If you want to take on that mission, great. If not, it's going to be difficult. And guess what? I picked, because this is an oracle card also from the Mother Piece, again the Hermit came up as the crone. The crone that has now, you see this little angel here? Well, guess what? You had here her, And he flew over to these, right? Back then he had to fly here. And now it's coming back, it's making a turn. And she sees what she sent out, and she sees that when we forgive, when we adapt, when we acknowledge the suffering, right, then maybe we get a chance. Then maybe we get a completion. And the interesting thing is that we have the 10, and again the 9, right, is a 19, and the 19 is always the sun, and so the sun is really clearly talking to you, and the sun is really being covered, and we get again a 10. So the 10 is left here in this message with the moon, with the woodwives, with the adaptability. Wow, so cool. On the position of the sun comes here the core. Here, the inner core, the solidarity, the coming together, the 19, the 10, and of course the 18 is a 9. The 10 and the 9 is again the 19, that's the 10, so again a 1. I have to calculate in the end of the reading again how many 1s you had here, because right now I lost count. But recognize, right, that you learning, definitely learning to understand now what it means to liberate yourself out of that mental suffering. And this is exactly what you do. You're cutting heads off, right? That's the liberation. You're cutting egos off. And it's good. Someone is allowed to cut ego off, but do it with love, right? Because you got the Ace of Cups on your position. Do it with love, because it's an infinite battle. Infinitely bring love into the cutting of the ego and make it so beautiful and make it so loving that people surrender naturally to the love that you're bringing when you're taking their ego away. They don't even feel like that something is missing. That's the challenge when we lovingly allow people to shift and change. So we have the 10 here. And also here, of course, I picked another Mother Peace Tarot. And what came up is the 10 of Cups. We know what the 10 of Cups is all about, right? That's Mars and Pisces. Well, guess what? Mars, the warrior planet of Aries, your opposite sign, right, of the young generation here, is actually coming here now in the position of Pisces. And Pisces is love. Pisces is the cup. Pisces is the search for love. And the search for love is going to set you free. And here they stand, these priestesses, and they give thanks to the rain, to the flood that is actually giving them the food and the water and the emotions and the tears and all the things that are happening right now in this world. Right? And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times we have the 1. 17. 1 and 7. And the liberation is needed, and it's because the sun is being covered by the moon, and we look deeper into our subconscious. We look deeper into that part of ourselves that is not able yet to evolve to a higher, magnificent being. But here the liberation is coming, right? Here the inner core is melting, and we're starting to recognize the 10 of Cups. So important. And with this, by itself, it's also a 10, right? So it's actually 8 time. And then on the last position, on the position of the universe, guess what's coming? The Fool. Look at the Fool. The Fool is walking into the nothingness. The Fool in this card is walking to the right. And it's walking almost in here, or it's like she is this dove, right? Flying out, and then she's falling out. So the 21 becomes a 3. And the 3 becomes with the 0 a 30. So the 3-3 is then here. And look, that's where they're going. These young people that are not recognizing what they're doing when they're killing. They're just start their path. And they have to do what they have to do. Because they're new souls, they're new energies, they don't understand. All they might understand is love and this kind of feeling, the freedom that they feel by being this warrior. And the whole world is watching again and again how the young generation is literally like, well, I'm gonna make my experience. And here are all the 12 zodiac signs, and she's in the center. And you see that you have become the owl, and here you have become the bird, and here you become, again, the person that walks all new out there and dares to live whatever you need to live, to experience whatever it is that you need to experience. That's the closing of the reading. And then it makes sense why he's facing now to the right, because he's taking a new path. It's the new generation. It's the young people. They have to make mistakes. And if we read it backwards, right, you will see now how it's a whole nother story. But see how it's closing here in a 3-3 portal. Amazing, this reading, right? So here you are recognizing the new dawn, the new path is here. And you take it and you inspire the world with it. And so just recognize that you are at the right place, at the right time, right? That you are having the love to give. And that you have Virgo on the position of the moon. And that you have the Queen of Wands on the position of the Sun. And so there is really like the Virgo and the 1 becomes a 10 as well, right? So there's a lot of ones. See unity in so many different ways. See unity that everything is changing and shifting and everybody has to learn and everybody is going through the infinite understanding, right? Because the 8 and the 2 is a 10 as well. So I see now 9 times the 1, maybe even 10 times. I'm going to calculate it and put it in the front how many ones you got. But I wish you a beautiful new moon celebration. And thank you so much for being with me. Namaste.